So yes, I've been drinking glasses of Bailey's milk.
Boozy chocolate milk.
It's only 17% alcohol. It's not that much. Like 20% is 40 proof. So 17 is even less. What is that? 34 proof. Or like moonshine's 100 proof. Is it 150? I don't.
But then what's like beer? Isn't
know.
it? Isn't beer like 9? Or no, 4 or something?
4%.
And wine is 9?
Yeah, wine has a little bit of a range, but wine is 9 to who knows what, 15? Some wine connoisseur out there is cursing us.
Yeah. It's weird though, because I would think that I could drink a ton of Baileys and be fine. But if you're saying it's 17%, if I was drinking a beer that was 17%, I'd be like, whoa.
Well, I was drinking Jameson before. I had a couple Jamesons. I wasn't measuring it. I just poured it into a glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then had dinner with my Bailey's little baby glass of milk with ice in it.
Oh.
You know, people who drink milk with ice. It's disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bailey's
Who
with
drinks
that makes sense.
No, Bailey's is fine, but there are people who drink milk with ice. I always think that's weird.
No,
I think
that's
my dad
insane.
used to do that. I think
That's-
did my
no,
dad do
that's-
that? I can't remember.
Insanity.
I don't want to put that on him if he didn't do it, but part of me thinks that maybe he did do that.
Call him.
He goes to sleep at like 8. And then he wakes up at 6:30 and he goes and paints the houses of every person in the neighborhood, even people he doesn't know.
He's doing that?
He's gone through every family friend through the history of my life. He's like, what's going on? You need some painting at your house? Because he retired, but he doesn't really
Right.
retire. And he paints people's houses. He's repainted his whole house. There's no reason for it. Can you hear that? Can you hear the people upstairs?
No.
All right, there's people upstairs having a grand old time since I'm here in Maine, in the middle of Maine. But I guess...
Where are you? Like are you in a hotel?
No, in a cabin on a frozen pond.
Wow.
And by pond, I mean it's pretty big. It's not just what you would think, a little, 4-foot across pond with some frogs in it. It's pretty big, and it's 41 feet deep in the middle.
Wow. What makes it a pond and not a lake?
It's a good question. Does a lake have a river leading into it, a source of water?
Maybe. Mm-hmm.
And a pond
Probably.
doesn't?
Like a natural spring or something?
Yeah, I think a pond just exists. There's a hole in the ground, and there's water in it. But it's not that, I don't know. Oh, we should officially start the show. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ, and I guess we can pick up our conversation now that the show has officially been started.
Here we are.
This week's
It's official.
topic. This week's topic. What makes a pond a pond? No, I don't think it should be that.
Lakes.
Well, I can't even answer that for sure. I don't want to stick with that and say that that's what makes a pond a pond. I feel pretty good with that answer, that a pond doesn't have a source of water. It just exists. Yeah. But, I can't use my computer to look other things up because the internet speed here in the middle of Maine is 5 megabits download, 0.5 upload. And I don't even know how the hell we're getting this show done, but somehow we are. But that means I can't look things up. If you want to look up what makes a pond,
I did.
I think you have, with your fancy internet, your 300 download speed internet. So what'd you find? What are your findings?
Super high upload speed. There's no precise difference. There's no precise difference between a lake and a pond, although water bodies named lakes are generally larger and or deeper than water bodies named ponds.
Oh.
Water bodies.
That's not as exciting.
I love that they use the term water bodies instead of bodies of water.
Word economy.
Water
the way to do
bodies.
it.
That's what my body has turned into. It jiggles like water, like a water balloon.
Is that really what's going on?
Me?
It's like that's very descriptive. Like I know what a water balloon jiggles like.
Well, sometimes my stomach does seem to act like that. Yeah. Moves around really awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, it has waves to it. Crests and troughs.
So you're drinking Baileys. You're on a frozen pond.
Well, I'm in Maine. I don't know what the topic of the show is, but I didn't reach out to you and say to tell you that I was leaving, and then I got really stressed about leaving, like any other time before I travel. But I don't know why. It's getting worse. Like I don't. Well, the thing here is there's 7 of us in this house, all dudes. Like my friend has been doing this with his brother and some other people for 7-8 years now. And I got invited for the first time last year. And I guess I, passed whatever unofficial test there was because I was cool enough to be invited. Yeah, I was invited back. So, and last year I came and I only stayed for 4 days. So it's like, I got to get back. I can't stay long. I felt like that was a good test. But last year with COVID still kind of floating around, one guy couldn't come. And so there were only 5 of us, and I ended up having a room to myself, and that made a big difference. But this year there's 7, and I have to share a room with 2 other people. I'm kind of dreading that. And then I think about things like, what if I have a heart attack? There's nothing around.
Oh,
like,
my goodness.
There's no way. The medical emergencies can happen. You go on that frozen pond that doesn't seem as frozen as it used to be. Last year was much colder here. Inland Maine. Not coastal Maine. People like to think, oh, what are you going to do in Maine? Catch lobsters? I was like, there's much more to Maine than the coast.
How big is Maine?
You fool.
Like, is it one of those things where it's like I think of Maine as kind of small, but I wonder if it's just because of the maps that we're used to seeing, if it's actually like the size of Texas or something. You know what I mean? Like it's surprisingly bigger.
No, it's not. It's not.
I know it's not as
big,
big as
like
Texas, but I'm just saying.
It's a decent size, especially with the states surrounding it. Like,
is it like
New
Georgia?
Hampshire. Georgia's the biggest state east of the Mississippi, so Georgia's pretty big.
Oh,
and then I think
didn't
New York
know that.
is. Yeah, then I think New York is second. That's actually Georgia's the biggest. I don't know I feel like New York's second. Florida is big, but surprisingly, Georgia has the most land area of any state east of the Mississippi. Maine's probably down that list a bit, because you've got other decent-sized states like Virginia, North Carolina. Pennsylvania's a decent size. Right? Use your internet.
I am. I'm looking at it right now.
You got to make sure it's east of the Mississippi, though. Because you go west, and then it's a different ball game, and it doesn't fucking matter. They're all giant.
Yes.
I have no clue what the smallest state west of the Mississippi is. Oklahoma?
Michigan
New Mexico
is the largest state east of Mississippi.
No. Now I got to figure this out. Now you're going to force
Georgia
me.
is like 4th on the list, because then it's Florida, Wisconsin, and then Georgia.
How's Wisconsin east of the Mississippi? East of Mississippi, biggest state. You're forcing me to do this. It's going to throw our show off the air. It's trying to load. Here it goes. Georgia. I just typed in east of Mississippi, biggest state, Georgia.
I wrote
of the
largest
of the states entirely. Of the states entirely east of the Mississippi, Georgia's the largest in land area.
What is that? What's the difference between entirely and just east of the Mississippi?
I don't know. Maybe the Mississippi runs through the middle of some states. Maybe it cuts them in half. Georgia is the largest state east of the Mississippi River in land area, although it is the 4th largest in total. Hold on. Here's what you were getting at, because I see what you're seeing.
Oh, I see now. Okay. Because of like the Great Lakes. Okay. Yeah, Wisconsin is east of the Mississippi.
So land area. That's what I was talking about. I think overall area with the water bodies included. Hey,
This is the
these are
first time
important.
that this is the first time that I've ever thought about someone listening to this and thinking like, what am I listening to?
Oh, why do I feel like this is something that people would enjoy? That maybe
Yeah?
they would take this trivia to their friends.
Yeah.
And they'd say, you know what I discovered today? That Georgia is the largest state in terms of land area east of the Mississippi. Don't count the waterways. Don't count the Great Lakes.
Right.
Land area. It's Georgia. But
guess
anyway,
so.
yes, Maine.
Okay,
Maine
anyway.
is fine. Maine is a fine sized state. And there's a lot of nothing in the middle. Logging. I think it's logging. Maybe quarries.
Ooh.
I do wonder what people do in small towns quite often.
I wonder that too. Don't you think they have to like travel for work?
Well, driving through here, where we are, the closest town, there is a logging plant. I don't know what they're called. But there's a plant where the timber comes in. And that seems to be what keeps people afloat in this town. Which seems like a relatively stable career. It's not like a factory.
Yeah, but
like if that thing shut down, then sure, this town would go to shit. But something like manufacturing, which gets moved to other countries, like China because it's cheaper. I feel like logging, at least, is something that stays in this country. Because what are the costs of shipping wood over?
Yeah. But isn't it? It's a finite amount of jobs within that one industry that's close enough to you where you live. So if you don't get a job at the logarium, then what do? You go work at the $1.25 tree? You go work at the grocery store?
Jimmy's. Jimmy's is the grocery store here. It's
Jimmy's?
It's something that you would expect. The cash registers were propped up on some books.
There's a woman who left her big city job and is now making applesauce and selling it.
I'm not lying about that. The cash registers are propped up on books.
Did you get my reference?
The counters. No, I didn't.
It's from Baby Boom.
What's that?
It's with Diane Keaton, and she's like a busy businesswoman, and she has a boyfriend, but like some like cousin so and so gave up her baby and sent it to her, and then she was like, I can't take care of a baby, and then she was like getting rid of the baby, but then the baby was going to go to these like weirdos. And she was like, never mind, I'll just keep the baby. But then she had to balance her, her corporate, CEO, high rise, big shoulder padded businesswoman life with her new found motherhood. And then so she sells everything and she moves, I think, to Connecticut. She like buys a house that she saw in the paper and she moves there and and she's like struggling, and the house keeps like having these huge problems, and she is losing her mind, and then she is stuck inside all winter, so she just makes applesauce, and then she sells it at the local little store, which is the Jimmy's. And then some like rich New York people come as tourists, and she recognizes them because that used to be her. Excuse me. And then
what is going on?
I know, I have something like, if I don't speak for a while, I'll say something and I'm like, it comes out really horrible. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So then, and then she starts marketing it, and it's like Country Baby or something like that. And then she goes back to the office where she used to be a bigwig, and they want to give her like billions of dollars and buy her applesauce like company. And you think she's going to take it, but then she doesn't. And she just stays.
Wait, why would she take it? Because she could still stay. She could take the shitload of money they wanted. I never saw this movie. I didn't even know it existed, and that's why I did the reference.
Harold Ramis is her boyfriend that breaks up with her because she has a kid.
That's shitty. Did he know that she had a kid? It's not even her kid. It's just a kid that was left on her
once
doorstep.
she decided like the kid was going to stick around, he was like, I'm out.
Well, that aside. I feel as though she could have sold her applesauce company and then still lived the kind of life that she wanted to live in Connecticut. And she didn't have to go back to the big city. There was no reason. So it's a weird thing to do.
I think that they were going to give
the applesauce.
Yeah, I think that they were going to give her like her old position. And also maybe she knew that it would be taken over by a corporate, machine, and it would lose its integrity. I don't really know if that's part of it. But she falls in love with a veterinarian of the town, who everyone, like, he's billed as this heartthrob, and he's so ugly.
The pickings are slim.
Yeah.
Once you get outside the city, ugly people, there's a different rating scale. You come to inland Maine, and you say that person's a 10 here, but overall they're a 4.
Sure.
It's just the way it works. I don't know what it's like. I looked up the population of the town that I'm near, Emden, Maine, Embden. The population is 940 people.
Wow.
So there's not a lot around, and maybe there's inbreeding. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I don't mean to perpetuate. I don't mean to perpetuate stereotypes. I don't mean it. I'm just joking around. I am.
Embden. There's too many consonants squished together.
No, that's what it is. I think about it. It's like, what was so special about this place? Why people said, you know what? This is it. We're settling here. This is where we're going to stay. Which obviously has happened in quite a few places across this country. There are a lot of little towns where people have decided to stop. And that's what we were talking about earlier, the industry. It's like, why? What kept people around? And then there's the support industry, like Jimmy's, the grocery store, where the cash registers are propped up on books because the counters were too low. And people walk around in Confederate flag jackets, which blows my fucking mind.
Wow.
So in the South, with the Confederate flag, people can at least say, they can make the argument that I don't buy, but they can make the argument that it's my heritage. I'm proud of it. It's not hate. It's heritage. Whatever you think of that, if someone's from the South, you can say, okay, you're from the South. We can't deny it's part of the South's history. And if you want to view it that way, while I don't agree, the argument stops a little earlier than when you come to the North and nobody can say it's heritage.
Right.
It's not part of any of the history up here. So to me, it's more of a statement when you see someone walking around, and I expect the person to stop and say, who are you, Jew? It's like, what? What the fuck are you talking about?
You're like, I mean, my mom, some mom on some side of my family was Jewish, but I'm not Jewish.
It's like, it doesn't even count. I'm half Jewish, and it doesn't count because it doesn't come from my mother. And so I don't give a shit. What's your last name? This is something that actually happened in Kennesaw a long time ago. Is what's your last name? I don't know even why I was answering this person. I was in high school, and it was kind of the first time that this ever popped up.
Who was the person talking to you about this?
Just some dude at a Hooters. Don't ask me why I was at Hooters. I don't know why I was at Hooters.
Kind of
I can't
awesome.
tell you. I can't tell you why I was at a Hooters. I wasn't fond of going to Hooters. Nothing against the people who work at Hooters, but I think it's the guys who go to the Hooters. They get in there and they want to hit on the girls and talk about their crunchy socks and shit like that.
Ew.
But I, for some reason, was indulging this guy's questions. And after he asked me if I was a Jew, he said, well, what's your last name? And I said, Russ. And he's like, oh, yeah, a very Jew last name.
What?
It's like, what the fuck? It's like, that's the last name for my grandfather who wasn't Jewish, you idiot. You fucking
Do you think he would have
asshole.
said that if no matter what you said your last name is? You're like, Stevens. He's like, aha, just like I thought.
Yeah, his last name is also Stevens. He's like, what a Jew last name that is. I don't know what goes through that person's head, and I never really thought of it before that, like that could have presented. Like, I don't know. Was he going to beat me up? No, I feel like if that was going to happen, it was going to happen. He probably would have attacked me, but it never really occurred to me that there were people out there who existed like that.
Right.
And I'm sure, there are other people and I'm not even sure. I know there's other people who have experienced that their whole lives, but it was the first time it kind of put things in that perspective for me. It's like, oh, wow. There are people out there who just hate you because they think that you're something or because you are something or whatever the fuck it is. And it's happening here at a Hooters in Kennesaw. Feels very fitting. Feels fitting. So here at the Jimmy's grocery store, I turn a corner and I see a man in a Confederate flag jacket. And I think, well, maybe I'll go to the next aisle. I can get Eggo waffles later.
Maybe that person had dementia and their family can't get him to stop wearing that jacket. I don't know why I'm defending him. Huh?
I don't know why you're defending him either, and I don't even understand what your defense is.
I guess I'm just trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Like, they can't really mean that, can they? They can't really
said his family has kind of dementia?
Statement. No, he has dementia.
Possibly.
They're like, we tried to get that jacket, but he really associates it, with it really keeps his mind whatever, so we just let him wear it.
0.001%. Yeah, 0.001% possibility is dementia. When I say, maybe. More than likely, no.
I know. I just don't want it to be real. I just don't want that to actually exist.
It exists many places.
Maybe they're an alien.
I mean, that could be true. Who knows?
Yeah.
But why would an alien come down and adopt that?
They don't know. They just think it looks... They don't realize that it's not the American flag. Because they don't understand shapes.
I just think the flying of flags in general, any flag.
Absolutely.
Like this country is flag obsessed.
It really is. And especially in Maryland, people are obsessed with crabs and this fucking flag, which I think the Maryland flag is so ugly. But everything is like it's like the silhouette of a crab with the flag pattern over it. Or it's like bathing suit shorts that are that stupid flag pattern. Or it's actual flags with that flag pattern on it. Or that stupid one with the snake, don't tread on me.
Yeah.
Get on. Why are you making such a thing? However,
you don't like the one with the snake. I mean, it's been hijacked these days.
It looks like I drew it in the 8th grade.
By the far right.
It's a terrible drawn flag. It's a terribly drawn flag.
I think that exists with a lot of flags, though. Like if a flag depicts something, the drawings actually aren't that very good.
I think the Georgia one that changed with that guy standing there or something. Or was that whose is that? Whose state's flag is the guy just standing there and he's looking, he's has his hand out, he's looking at something.
Georgia's flag used to have the Confederate flag on it and they changed it. So it has a few stripes on it, which actually is now reminiscent of the Confederate States of America flag, which the Confederate flag was the battle flag, the stars and bars. So people thought, oh, wow, they did a good job. They got rid of that flag. Obviously some people didn't want them to get rid of that flag. And the whole thing that Sonny Perdue said, if you vote me to governor, I won't get rid of. Yeah. What did he say? I forget what it was. It was something like, I won't change the flag, but he still changed it, but he let people vote on the new design instead of just changing it. And that's the way he spun it. He's like, no, but I gave you the choice. I just didn't include the old one. And maybe that's what it was. I'll let you vote. I think that's what it was. I'll let you vote. And he did let people vote on the flag, but it didn't include the old Georgia flag. And so then people voted. And then, you get those signs around town. Sonny lied about the fucking flag. But the new ones, honestly, in the same vein as the old one because it's modeled after the Confederate States of America flag. So
yeah,
jokes
it's got
on
like
you.
that gazebo on it.
Well, that's the state seal. So that's a difference.
Oh, it is?
A little
Okay.
bit different. They added that. But if you compare the two designs,
South Carolina is,
see.
I think, the best one. And New Mexico rules.
People love the South Carolina. The Maryland one I know people love. Look, it's different. I agree that
I know
it's pretty
it is
ugly.
different, but it's
busy.
so ugly. It's like that mismatched like crossing of a checkered pattern. It's weird.
Yeah, there's
so
there's a lot going on.
The ones that I was thinking of with like the people just standing there, it's not just one person. It's like Wisconsin has like two dudes standing around a seal. New York has that two ladies or something. And Maine also has just like a guy, like a front, like a like Plymouth Rock dude, and then like some British guy. I don't know. They're just standing there. It's weird to have people on your flag, I think.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm looking at the New York flag now. It's an interesting flag. The depictions, it is always strange to have kind of a scene happening.
Yeah.
There was a flag where there was like a white man wrestling a Native American. Do you remember that?
No.
It was one poorly drawn, but the position, like the way the flag depicted this wrestling match is what they called it. The white man had full leverage and power over the native and was strangling him.
Wow, that looks like it's like straight out of Parks and Rec.
It is absolutely ridiculous.
It's hilarious. Oh, Whitesboro.
Yeah, it's called Whitesboro. Yes, Whitesboro, where a white man is choking a Native American, and they say no, it was just showing like some games that the two sides had, friendly competition. I think that was their excuse. But it is something, that flag.
Yeah, maybe
Whitesboro.
Maybe the person who made that flag had dementia.
Like the drawing stinks. It's not good.
Absolutely.
It also, whatever they claim it is representing, depicting, it's not what's happening.
What do they say?
Like this is really, I think they claim that it was just like, yeah, it was depicting some games, it was just friendly wrestling match between the two sides, which people wouldn't do if they didn't like each other. It's like, just sports. It was sports, I think is what it boils down to.
And a very, you don't have a lot to stand on when the name of the town is also Whitesboro.
There's so many flags out there. Everyone's
no
got a
Browns
flag.
allowed, Berg.
I mean, people like the California flag, has a bear on it. I'm not really into it. I don't care.
I kind of like that one. That's kind of cool.
You do like that one?
I do. Hawaii's is really disappointing. Not because of Hawaii, but because of our colonization of Hawaii. And then it's just like this ugly fucking thing.
Well, it's also got like a Union Jack on it. It's got the UK flag on there. I don't know the history behind that. So you like New Mexico's flag.
Something floral. Yeah, New Mexico's is beautiful. Not
Washington's
beautiful,
flag, apparently.
Very appropriate.
Washington State's flag has George Washington on it.
Ew. And like it has the Washington like curved off to the side. Like they made it in word perfect. That's real bad.
Alaska's got the Big Dipper, I assume. Is that Ursa Major? They wouldn't put Ursa Minor, right?
No, it's got to be the Big Dipper and then the North Star.
So I'm looking up Maine's flag. Oh yeah, it's got was that an evergreen tree?
Oh, I don't see that as Maine's. Oh, in the middle, in that seal. And then there's like two dudes.
looking at state flags, I'm surprised that most of them do have seal. Like the seals, I guess, don't surprise me, but depictions of things.
Yeah.
They're more intricate than I thought. Like Texas is actually pretty lame, for as much as Texas likes to gloat, pretend they're better.
I think Texas's is very bold.
The Lone Star.
Alabama's is upsetting me because they're like stars and bars. Because it's just white with a big X.
And look at Florida. Florida's similar with the state seal in the middle. It's the same as Alabama. It's a little thicker. With
upsetting.
I guess people are going to have to follow along. They're going to have to look up for this episode the state flag so they can look. Maryland's is unique. You can say that.
It is, unique. But it's ugly. I hate the color combination, the black and yellow, and then with red. It's so ugly. But people fucking
the Colorado. Love it. Well, the Colorado state flag, they fucking love that. That's like plastered all over Colorado.
That logo. Sorry, that logo looks like a sports team or something.
Yeah, it's got the C. I don't know, flags in general.
What about gay flags?
What do you mean, what about them? What were you trying to take us with this conversation?
Well, because I was saying it's also stupid, and I was talking about the flags being dumb, but then I was like thinking, well, if you have a gay flag, I'm kind of into that. I think that's more of like not like a protest necessarily, but almost like a no need to be afraid because we're all supportive of this. You know what I mean? Whereas
representation. It's like
right.
Like you have the flag there. I guess it was an act of defiance at one point too. It's like, we're not scared anymore. We have a symbol that we're going to fly. So you know exactly where we are and who we are. And what are you going to do about it? Like, we're not hiding anymore. And, I guess flags serve that purpose across the board. But as time goes on, it feels like less and less of a need.
But I don't think anybody was afraid to fly their Illinois flag.
Yeah, but, state pride at some point. People didn't move as much for a long time. It's different that people are able to move so much more easily now, and there's transplants everywhere, and they settle. And, the flag still exists, sure, fine. But I don't know if there's as much attached to it as there used to be.
Well, I don't really understand. And maybe this is a thing of the past where someone older who has this kind of pride would say that it's a bad thing that I don't, or that we may not have this. But to be proud of the state you live in, or honestly, for me, like to be proud to be an American. Why am I proud?
At least you know you're free.
What am I proud of? And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me.
That's the whole thing, right? The whole thing with the flag is to show that you're part of a community, I guess.
But even if I enjoy living here in Crofton, but I wouldn't I think it'd be kind of funny to have a Crofton flag, but I'm not proud. I wouldn't be like, Crofton born and bred. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
What flag would you fly that you would be proud of?
That's why I didn't respond to that. That's why I said, yeah, I'm trying to think because I don't want to completely dismiss the notion. I understand that, again, it shows you're part of a community, and sometimes those communities, like especially with countries, and I feel like more so in the past, but it's like there's a common set of beliefs and goals and shit like that attached to it. And as time goes on, obviously, the US, for example, still stands for something that I think a lot of other countries have since adopted in terms of personal freedoms and things like that. And if you want to be, it's not wrong, I guess, in my mind, to be proud of that, but there seems to be a going overboard with it, with the number of flags that are flown. Like the American flag is fucking everywhere. It's on the side of every subway car in New York. I think that was added after 9/11, granted.
Oh, okay.
So I understand that, coming together.
Yes, I did feel more pride after 9/11 for sure. But that, I think, again, that's like that's a symbol of joining together instead of isolating and saying like, this is me and you're not me. This is my flag for my state and you're not from that state. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. After 9/11, it was a source of unity and it made sense. And, New York is a city that's got a lot of tourists, but it's like, why is it just flying here where everyone is an American? And like after so many years go by, I'm surprised that they still put it on every new subway car that comes in. And I'm not saying this stuff because it's in vogue to be against being proud of your country. That's not the reason that I'm saying these things. I think over time, though, is like growing up, it's really drilled into you. It's like you're in the greatest country, the best country. This is the most amazing place you could ever live. And as you grow older, you're like, why did you just tell me that stuff arbitrarily? Like the arguments could be made. I would listen to those arguments, but it was always presented as you should just believe this and don't even really question it. Just accept it for the truth. And I think that's what comes into play quite often, with the kneeling at the national anthems in the NFL, and it gets people really stirred. And to me, whatever your belief is, the fact that you live in a place where you can even kneel and not have awful shit happen to you is cool. It's like, yeah, that's a nice thing. And like, to me, that's a point of pride in the country that people will kneel and maybe aren't feeling so great about the country at any given moment, because there's plenty of places you do something like that, you're done.
And it's strange too for someone to do that, and then for someone else who wouldn't kneel, for them to be so offended, because they're not like flipping off the flag or flipping off giving the finger to this notion of, I don't know, the Star Spangled Banner and being an American or whatever. They might just be saying, hey,
things could be better.
We don't need to deify this country. And then for the person that made, like I'm saying, that wouldn't kneel, for them to be so offended, really, to me, shakes their belief in their own thing. Like they just have blind faith in it instead of actually understanding why they think what they think.
Yeah, I never understood the outrage tied to it.
Me either.
I think calling attention to the country and saying, hey, we could do better than we're doing currently. Why is that a bad thing? Why is it, no, it's already so great that we don't need to strive to be better?
He doesn't support the troops.
It's like, also, it's not even what that is.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think the reason why they have that flag on the subway trains is because they're built in the U.S.
I don't think they are. I think they're shipped here from like Japan.
I'm looking at Pennsylvania, Texas, and New York.
Yes, what are you finding?
That there are some newer ones that are, let's see, from like in Kawasaki, in Lincoln, Nebraska, Yonkers, New York, as well as Japan, places in Japan.
Yeah, they're Kawasaki, so it's a Japanese company, but I guess they have plants.
Yeah, I think they're being, but I think they're built in New York, mostly.
All right, so I mean that's nice. Japanese company, they open up operations in the United States, and then people get jobs and they get to build the subway cars. The flags were added after 9/11, and I'm not going to argue against that.
Oh yeah, whatever.
I'm just surprised that they're still added to this day.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know
they
why.
are in America.
I can't. Yeah, I can't necessarily explain why I'm still surprised.
Would you be
trying
interested
to-
in buying a home in Emden?
Probably not. Why?
Well, because there's a 4-bedroom, 4-bath, 3,000 square foot for $270,000.
I still think it's too much. I'm surprised.
Real? That's too
The
much.
house I bought. Well, the house I bought in Cabbagetown, Atlanta, was $192,500
When in 2002?
in 2005.
20 years ago.
Yeah, but it's in the middle of a city.
Yeah, but it was in
No,
a
this
part
is-
of the city that wasn't growing yet. Or like wasn't cool yet. It was cool
No,
on
it
its
was
own.
cool.
No,
It was
I know, but it
cooler
was
then
cool
than
because
it
it
is
was like
now.
still more undiscovered.
It's cooler then than it is now. I'll tell you that.
I agree. I'm just saying, not according to this. You could also buy a 53.5 acres for $300,000.
Just the land.
Yeah, just the land. But
How
You know
much?
what they say,
how many acres?
nobody's building new land except for volcanoes.
How many acres?
53.5.
Yeah, I guess that's a lot.
It's a lot.
I'll think about it.
There's
It's a
$200
different way.
HOA fee. That can't be right.
Yeah, who are you paying that to? Who the fuck is the homeowners association?
They're like, these trees are too tall.
I get that. I don't like. Yeah,
There's too many
I don't
crickets
like the
here.
length of the grass. All right. Well, I guess because I am hanging out with other people, and because this is an invite-only trip, if I isolate myself too much, I'm downstairs in the house, like meaning there's a basement level, and some guy came down to use the bathroom, and he saw I was recording, and he ran away. I was like, I don't care. Go in there, take your dump.
Aw,
Who cares?
ran away
He
like
ran
a
away.
scared little boy.
Yeah. So I guess I should wrap it up.
All right. Well, I'm
And-
grateful
look,
that
I
we
mean,
was
just-
able to record.
Yeah, I mean, despite what we were talking about, like with the flag portion of the show, it's like driving through even to Maine today, which is like a 6.5 hour drive to get to where we are. Like, this country is fucking vast and huge, and the
Yeah.
landscapes, because of all the travel that I did over the past year, where I went to Wyoming and Arizona, it's like it just changes. It's so different that if you were blindfolded and dropped off and someone's like, no, you're in the same country, you'd be like, what the fuck? How is this the same fucking country? Like, it is cool. Like, there are cool aspects to it. It's like, this is a large place. It's diverse, and there are so many different things, which, I do appreciate. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't be proud of where they live, but also it's okay to say that where I live, I wish it were better, and it can do better. And that's the whole fucking reason for this place existing to begin with. So, shutting those conversations down, to me, it just feels disappointing.
Yeah.
Because is the work ever really done? No, I don't think so. So it's like, no, it's good enough. My life is fine. Like, I do want to wrap this up, but when I was in Wyoming, like, Wyoming's a huge fucking state with the smallest population in the country. 600,000 people in the whole state. That means more people
Wow.
live in Delaware, more people live in Rhode Island,
Yeah.
the two smallest states, than Wyoming. And I try to understand, like, certain debates, certain issues. Guns, for example, I think is a good one. People are like, why do you want to come for my guns? Because people there are so spread out, and they do use their guns as tools and I can understand. You're not exposed to mass shootings. You're not around a lot of people. So it's hard for you to maybe grasp what that means when these tragedies happen. And then suddenly people want to come and change your way of life. I get it, but I also wish people were more open to trying to understand the way other people live, in the same way that's what I was trying to do, like in traveling around Wyoming. And when people call cities bubbles, I always think it's weird. It's like, no, you're in the bubble just because it's more land and it's more space. It's like you're exposed to less here than people in cities. And it doesn't necessarily mean people in cities are right. Like it's all subjective. Everyone's experience is subjective. And as long as people are open to that and willing to listen, then, I think it's okay for people to hold beliefs that are different than your beliefs. If someone just digs in their heels and has no interest in hearing it, then it's like, all right, fuck you. So when we had this conversation,
Go ahead.
Well, when we have this conversation, I think the flag issue, the way it stands now, is the flag is like, things are good as they are. And the way it's played out is kind of just the way it's played out. It's like, so because of the kneeling issue in the NFL and things like that, like the flag is more representative of, I think things are good exactly as they are, and fuck you. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't believe that.
I think it gets kind of meta because I also feel that same way, just even about what I think. I'm shitting on being proud and being proud of something and having a flag that represents that, and you being proud. Like, my thoughts are just my thoughts. And maybe I just don't understand why you're proud. And you go ahead and be proud. I don't give a shit. I think there's a difference. I think a lot of people, even if you do, I can really sort of compartmentalize judging and not holding it against them. Like, I'll judge all day long. I'm constantly judging. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to hold that to them. I would give a chance at any moment for that person to not change my mind. I'll just accept them as they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because I think that sometimes we do on this show, we do sort of like shit on a lot of things. I think, we talk a lot about like we're better than, and it's not that. It is, I guess, because we all think we're better than. But
I don't think I'm better than anything. I just realized I'm a big piece of shit.
You're both.
No,
because
I think
your
I'm
ideas
better.
Are the best, but you're also a piece of shit.
No, I think I'm better because I realize I'm a piece of shit and I can admit it, and you can't. I mean, not you, but the generalized you. And it's like, if you could admit that, then we'd all be better. But you think that you're something special and you're not. So therefore, I am better than you, even though I suck. That's what it comes down to. And speaking to what you were saying, I do agree. If somebody has the belief that I think things are perfect as they are, if they could just leave it at that and then not go after other people with that. After, if someone else thinks differently or shows differently, behaves differently, you hold your belief. Why does it bother you so much then? It's like, whatever, have your belief, let them have theirs.
Exactly, because I'm not going out saying that we should not have flags at all, even if I think that flags are dumb. So that's the difference.
They are weird.
I think they're a little weird. But I loved looking at those flags. Go ahead and people look up some state flags. They're interesting.
They're a little weird because you're just supposed to blindly follow them. You're like, well, this is where you were born, so there's your flag.
That's how I feel. It's like I had no choice. I didn't come here and say, like, I chose this, and so I'm proud of my choice. I'm just born here. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the difference when you brought up the gay flag earlier. It's like that was a flag that was created by people, and it did represent their feelings and who they were. And it is different when it's like, well, that's your flag. It's like, oh, it is. You really just need to accept that for what it is. Okay, I guess.
Well, I love crabs and Old Bay, so fucking
who doesn't?
Give me a flag. Put some Old Bay on this flag.
I finished my adult milk.
Congrats. Now it's time to tuck yourself in.
It's almost gone. Yeah,
put in a baby bottle next time.
People. My God, I gotta fucking sleep in a room with 2 other people.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, rate, review, tell your friends, and buy some hot sauce. Hobandpepper.com. 1Topic15. Love you. Okay, bye.